Right now, we're going right on into Just Talking, and we're beyond stoked because we got the one and only Katie Williams, who is fighting to bring a new conservative voice to the Clark County School Board by running to represent District B. But let's not forget that Katie Williams is also a millennial and a veteran. How's it going, Katie?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, we're doing good, fam. I'm super glad to have you back on the show. And I think it's just some crazy times we're living in. And what better person to talk about a quarantine circle than hashtag Corona Katie? So you were going around, you stirred up a big mess all over Twitter because obviously before the whole COVID-19 got going, people still weren't really sure what was going to happen. I mean, it was really fluctuating around. I mean, obviously we saw what was happening in China, but could you give a little background story of what happened? Because I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, so I'll actually give you guys like the lowdown true story like I've been telling everyone that asked. We were actually, my husband and my daughter and I, we actually had to fly back home because we had a family emergency. And so of course, that's one of the only restaurants that was kind of open, and restaurants were starting to shut down in the state that we were flying to. We were going to Illinois. And so we just decided it was Red Robin. Like that's where we went, you know? And it was crowded. I mean, it was crowded. And my biggest thing with that was that, you know, my life has always been like, listen, I have freedoms. I was a veteran and I fought for this right. And my grandfather fought for this right. My father and before that. So I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna live my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a way with words, and it blew up. I mean,
well, hey, I mean, I think the thing is, people blow things out of proportion all the time on social media.
Absolutely.
Let's not pretend like anybody knew exactly the extent of what COVID-19 was going to do on the whole world. And do you ever have any thoughts about that now? You know, now that we're almost into June, have you had any new philosophies about this whole virus? And that's affecting everybody's life.
Yeah, like a big misconception was that I had COVID and I was spreading it, or I
didn't hear that one.
It was going around. Definitely a lot of conspiracies.
And then, but really, what people don't realize, or that I thought it was a hoax, right? But here's the thing: is that my family works in medicine. I knew it's not a hoax. Like I knew it was there. But my biggest thing is like, why are we censoring so much of our society and ourselves? When we've been through this before. I'm sorry, but Ebola was way worse than COVID-19. The only problem with, but like Ebola, we understood it, and so COVID, we didn't necessarily know what it was, but I don't think my biggest issue is that people weren't questioning it at all. They were just like, oh, we have to like stay in our homes and shut in and cower in fear. Okay.
Right. And I know
I'm not going to do that.
Well, and I also think that when that first came out, it was supposed to just be for 2 weeks. So people were like, oh, okay, 2 weeks. A vacation, right?
And we said that too. We're like, cool. Yeah, we said that. We're like, and I said that too. I'm like, if you ask Americans to do a favor, they'll probably do it. They'll unify and they'll be like, okay. But then going on like 70 days of a shutdown, no way. Like, I'm sorry, but we've started wars for less. Like, we just don't care. We're just not going to do it.
Well, how do you define somebody who's going to be accepted into your quarantine circle? Because I know that's the biggest thing with millennials. I mean, they're getting antsy. I mean, I have a lot of my buddies that are in my punk band, Baseline, and they're hitting me up to go to band practice. I got my buddies, Jake Stallweezy and Scotty Young, and they're like, bro, let's hang out. But I got to respect the family because, one, the parents pay the bills. So I got to respect them. And they're a high risk. I totally understand that. So how are you as an individual in your household with children, how are you choosing your friends or family members to be in your quarantine circle?
So I go with what they're comfortable with, like I've been to a lot of different businesses during the shutdown that needed to be open. I needed things to get done or whatever. Or I've been to my friend's house. They've come over here and I go with what they're comfortable with. If they're not comfortable hanging out with me, that's fine. But most of my friends are actually in the medical field.
Yeah.
So it's like
okay. Well, now you're saying medical field. You kind of heard some of the things I was saying in TLDR, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, do you really think we should be doubling the distance now? I mean, we even have Gerard Chow who was saying that if you interacted with somebody in the last couple of weeks, you shouldn't hang out with them.
Well, but see, here's my big thing. So why can we go to a big box store like Lowe's or, like Walmart or Target or something like that, but we can't go to a mom and pop shop that's really struggling right now? Chances are mom and pop shops are going to be a lot less busy than a Target.
That's true. I mean, if it was so bad.
True. No, it's true. The Target by my house.
Yeah.
There is zero chance of trying to like social distance or wipe things down. I mean, they're doing nothing. Not even requiring masks, anything. But in the mom and pop shop that does pet supplies, I have to get. They're so on top of wiping things down, only having so many people in the shop. Same with the weed shops. There's a big line.
And the thing is like,
I was going to say, at least the recreational weed, at least that's being delivered by a car. Thank God we live in California.
It's okay. Las Vegas is the same way, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. But the thing is that we can be respectful of people's requests, and still just live our lives. If they don't want to shake my hand, that's totally fine. I'm not going to hold it against them. But I'm not going to sit there and be afraid of them either.
Absolutely. And you know what? And when you're saying that, because obviously we have a really strong, powerful voice that we get to have here in the USA. And one of the most startling things that's happened this week is Twitter, Jack Dorsey, put a fact check on one of Donald Trump's tweets. So, Marissa, could you pull up the picture for all the listeners and the watchers out there on YouTube who haven't seen this tweet so we can read it off for you?
Yes, I can. Just give me 2 seconds.
No. There is no way, zero, that mail-in ballots will be anything less than substantially fraudulent. Mailboxes will be robbed, ballots will be forged, and even illegally printed out and fraudulently signed. The governor of California is sending ballots to millions of people. Anyone living in the state, no matter who they are or how they got there, will get one. That will be followed up with professionals telling all of these people, many of whom have never even thought of voting before, how and for whom to vote. This will be a rigged election. No way. So now that you've seen the tweet, that I was having a hard time. I can't find the tweet anywhere. So, Katie, you were just telling me before the show the tweet got flagged?
Yeah, I think it got flagged, and then it's not taken down. It just got flagged. So you have to really go search for it.
Yeah, because I was really trying to look for it. It's not that hard. Twitter's in chronological order. I still couldn't find it.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I don't know. It's very different. But at the same time, but I completely agree with them. Like, Nevada has gone to an all mail-in ballot system, and the problem with this is that you are required, like federal law, the states are required to purge voter registrations who are not active or who are not valid, right? And what's causing it to happen is that for some reason they're not getting purged, and then we're getting multiple ballots to one home. I have a friend, and I won't say his name, but his first name's Alex, and he got 3 ballots in his home.
Oh my!
One of them was his, and then the other one was the previous owner, and then another one was the previous owner who had passed away, and he only knew they passed away because he knew them.
Right, but I also heard that the Democrats were fighting over signature verification.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like common sense.
But think about it like this, though. Like, if I get remarried and I change my signature, then my signature's not going to match my registration.
Yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
I had the same problem when I was trying to get my passport.
Yeah.
My passport was my maiden name because they said my signature doesn't match, even though I gave you my marriage certificate showing my name changed, and I left it. I'm so with you on this, because if I want to pick my mail-in ballot, that's my right. But don't force me to pick how to vote. That's wrong.
Well, Katie, tell me about the concern about the mail-in ballot, because for the longest time, I've always been that kind of mail-in guy, because for the longest time here in California, I just love having it come to my house a month before. I get to kind of see the list. I get to already start to vote in, and then I get to take my mail-in ballot and I literally hand it in. I think the biggest new difference is, well, okay, Marissa, you're saying it's lame, but I don't trust the companies. Would you rather have voting be digital, or would you rather have it be physical?
No digital.
No digital. I'm 100% with Marissa. Sorry. But yeah, so we here in Nevada have all mail-in ballots, and you can take your mail-in ballot, like you said, look over it, which I think is a good idea, that you should be able to look over who's running for what, and it's like a no down dirty list, right? Just for people to look at and actually see who's running in those districts and offices and things like that, right? And then take that ballot and then fill in an actual ballot at a voting place. Because what's happening here in Nevada is that you can go to the ballot box place and you drop in a ballot box or a ballot to a little ballot box. So there is no verification. There's no ID verification. There's no signature verification before you do that. It's just whoop, right in the box and done. right? So you don't actually get to look, and you don't get to fill in the bubbles at the voting station. You have to just drop it in the box and be okay with it and hope it doesn't get changed.
Well, I used to hear this idea floating around about voter ID. Are you in for something of that kind of nature? Because I know on the concert level, everybody's been wanting to come up with this vaccine ID to get concerts to get going faster. And would you see that as a traditional route, I guess, to try to bring back the better vote?
I think we need voter ID, but I think we need, so now maybe this is a little bit of extreme, but I would like someone with an ID and a social security card verification. That's what I want.
Disagree.
Right?
I disagree with that. That actually really, especially in poor communities, having the access to get your social security card, I mean, that's kind of overkill. Look,
well, so here's the thing, though. You can get a verification. Right, no, but you can get a verification without actually having a card. Right? It's something as simple as emailing the social security office and just showing your ID is all it is, really.
But right? I tried emailing my social security office, and I had to answer questions on my credit report that were wrong. That's not my information. They told me that that's incorrect, and now I have to physically go down there. So I personally do not believe in voter ID. Very few people actually screw the system that way. Now I am worried about ballot harvesting, because that is a whole nother thing and can easily be manipulated on a large scale.
Yes, and I think we definitely, I mean, we agree on the same thing. There may be different tangents about it, but yeah, I think there's just a better way to do it. I don't understand why we're trying to digitize everything or make everything easier just so that, us millennials can be like, oh, this is easy.
Right.
It's like Amazon Prime. We just want it right now.
Exactly. Stop.
Well, no, I mean, at least, Katie, you're bringing up a really big point, and I understand that technology makes life like so much easier. But at the same time, when we start allowing these tech companies to interfere with our life, I think it was really weird. Obviously, when we showed all the watchers right now the tweet that Donald Trump tweeted, he's obviously done way worse stuff online and every other politician. So I thought it was really weird that they seem the first, let's clear this up with everybody, the first person in the United States to be fact-checked out of the 370 million people happened to be our president. I think that's a little bit iffy. And I understand that the president doesn't get a free ride, just because he's the president and yada, yada, yada. But I'm thinking about us. I'm thinking about the millennials, because imagine if you're trying to be a comedian like Patrice O'Neal or the great Ralphie May or Ricky Gervais, and every little thing they say gets hit with the fact check. I'm not about that life. And you know what? I want to play a little soundbite, because I was quite shocked last week that I didn't see a fact check from Twitter when this was absolutely wrong. So Marissa, you want to play the soundbite?
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
No, I didn't get fact checked.
It makes me laugh every time I
hear it. I didn't really. It's been pretty quiet in the media about all of this. I mean, I didn't see no uproar. I didn't see no people rioting and looting and going all crazy.
Yeah, there was no uproar, but it was digital.
No one who is white can ever tell that someone who is of color is of that color.
Never.
That beyond is ignorant. I mean, I don't care what political spectrum you are on. I have no right to ever tell a black person the way they vote makes them black or not. I'm a white person. That blows my mind.
Correct. Yeah, no, I agree.
But I also there's this weird culture that's going around though in social media where it's like, everybody wants people suspended or banned or taken down. And I know, Katie, you've spoken up a couple times that you've advocated for certain users to be taken down. I think that's kind of weird. I mean, I think that's the best thing that I love that the president is using Twitter, as much as that's not my guy, but as much as he's using Twitter, I get to know exactly every single thing that he's thinking. And when I see these social media behemoths take away this freedom of rights where you get to have that freedom of speech, doesn't that concern you, Katie?
Well, so I've never actually advocated for a user to get taken down. What I have advocated for is I don't like violent speech on any kind of platform, right? I've never sat there and said, so it's like Kathy Griffin comes to mind, right? Yeah. She had actually said at one point that she wants to put a syringe full of air into Donald Trump, that would do it. She basically inferred that, she would kill him that way. Yeah. I don't agree with that. I don't like Kathy Griffin. I don't know her as a person, but I just don't like her by her tweets, and that's fine too. But I mean, I think that's.
But then again, isn't Kathy Griffin the same person that also held a headless, Donald Trump's head cut off? The same individual who did that too? Marilyn Manson. He's got a famous music video for it. But are we gonna play? But are we gonna play cancel culture though?
No, I don't agree with cancel culture. I think because I mean I've been canceled. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, people have come after me a lot and trying to cancel me and trying to remove me from platforms and things like that. Katie, I don't agree with that. What's up?
So that kind of like brings it in. I know right now that you are looking into a career in education. You have you're on the ballot on June 9th for Clark County. So like, why now? Why this switch into politics for you?
Well, so I've always been interested in politics ever since the 2015, and we were watching, coming into the 2016 elections and things like that. And to touch back on the thing is that, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Donald Trump, and people called me that I wasn't a real woman, that I wasn't for women. And I'm like, well, that's not true. But the biggest thing is that I think politics in general is shifting, and we need newer voices. We need younger voices to come in and be like, listen, we've done it your way. Let's do it our way now. Let's just try it a different way. And let's kind of go back to either the basics, or let's just go back to a wholesome thing. So with me going into education, I really, I have a daughter. I want her into the best schools possible. I believe in school choice, and I don't want my school dictated by the zip code I live in, right? And I want to choose how my tax dollars get spent on her. And so my biggest thing is that if we are going to complain about how public officials and elected officials act, then we have to be able to and be willing to step up to the plate as well and try to enforce change. So everyone can criticize when they're not the one on the bench, right? Because when you get on the bench, your perspective does change. So I think that even as leaders, there are things going on behind curtains that we just don't see as civilians. And I think that that's important for us to get behind the curtain so that we can see that stuff.
Absolutely. And no matter...
Oh, sorry. You put yourself as a new conservative. So on your website, you say you're running as a new conservative. What does that mean? Because Clark County is primarily Democratic.
Big time.
Yeah. So what do you mean by a new conservative versus the old conservative?
Well, I would say just a new conservative voice is what is kind of how it's worded and how it's supposed to be inferred. Basically, because the entire board, I mean, it's a nonpartisan board, but you can see where, the board the board of the president board actually endorsed Bernie Sanders without even asking the other board members if they would be okay with that. So basically it's inferred that the Clark County School District endorses Bernie Sanders, which is fine, regardless if you support him or you don't. I personally don't, but I don't really care either way. People can support who they want, but I think it's that communication gap that we're having, that people don't really understand what's going on. Most people don't know what a school board does. They just think it's just a bunch of people that sit there.
But I also think the thing that you're saying is this new conservative voice. It doesn't matter what your political spectrum is. We need more people, millennials, stepping into public service. And I think that's what you're doing, because that's what we were just saying 5 minutes ago with the social media tech companies. There's no millennial representing us. So we're having all these old hags that are going to be making all the rules and laws for us. I'm not about it. I think it's crazy. So, I mean, kudos for you for representing the children out there, because that was something I totally thought it was. I totally thought it was because you have your daughter and education's so rich for her. And I understand that you want that strong connection for her. And I think that's a beautiful thing, Katie. So where can they follow you on social media?
Okay, so you guys can go to my website, katiewilliamsnz.com. And there's a link to all my social medias. I'm on Twitter at RealKatieJoeW, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram. So.
Hey, rock and roll, Katie. It's always a blast having you back on the Chris Collins Show, and hopefully we talk soon.
Thanks,
Peace out.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.